The carriage turned off the main road at dusk. Marian Voss had been married 4 hours. She had done it to save her sister. The man at the end of this drive was the one 3 counties feared. Holt Manor appeared through the trees, large, gray, older than it had any right to look. 3 chimneys, one with smoke. Iron gates swung open before the carriage reached them. Someone had been watching the road. She pressed one hand flat against the window glass and felt the cold of it. Agnes will finish her season. Agnes will be all right. That is the only thing that matters. The carriage stopped. No staff assembled at the entrance. No flowers, no torchlight. A single woman stood at the front door holding an umbrella over the threshold. Her name was Mrs. Beale. She had been housekeeper at Holt Manor for 19 years. She said this the way you state a fact that is also a warning. Inside, stone floors, cold despite the season. A staircase branched at the top. A single lamp stood at the foot of it. No portraits on the walls, only cleaner patches of plaster where they had once hung. The house had the feel of rooms used for practicality, not for living. Every woman in the county had heard the stories. Silas Holt had buried one wife already, Eleanor. After that, the servants left. One by one, then all at once. He stopped attending church, stopped accepting invitations, stopped being seen in the village except in passing. A man like that, they said, carries something he will not put down. Silas Holt also held the complete promissory note on the Voss estate. The debt would be cancelled in full in exchange for her hand. Agnes had wept. Marian had signed. Mr. Holt, Mrs. Beale said, would receive her in the study at 7 o'clock. It was 6:20. Marian arrived at 7 precisely, because she had decided that whatever else happened, she would not be late. She knocked. The voice that answered was low and even. Silas Holt stood behind his desk, tall, severe, unreadable.
Mrs. Holt?
The name landed strangely. She had not yet heard it applied to herself.
Mr. Holt?
I trust the journey was acceptable.
It was fine.
Rooms have been prepared in the East Wing. Mrs. Beale will show you. Breakfast is at 8. The library and the gardens are yours to use as you wish.
And the rest of the house?
The rest is mine.
He said it without apology. She found she preferred that to something softened and untrue.
Allow me.
I understand.
Thank you.
Do you have other expectations of me?
Not tonight.
At the door she stopped because something in her would not move yet.
Agnes is well, by the way. My sister, I thought you might want to know.
2 full seconds of silence.
I'm glad to hear it.
It did not sound like nothing. It sounded like something he was careful with. If you're enjoying this, drop a like or leave a comment telling me where you're listening from. It helps the platform understand this kind of story is worth finding. Now, back to North Yorkshire. The East Wing was quiet in the way large houses are quiet when they have fewer people than rooms. Her bedroom had a fireplace, a writing desk, and a window that faced north. She stood there watching rain move across what she assumed were gardens. She had signed the paper, said the words. Arrived at the house. Spoken to the man. None of it had killed her. That was something. She had not yet tested whether she was good at living inside this particular decision. The days took shape around absence. He breakfasted before she was downstairs. He was gone from the house by mid-morning. At supper, he spoke perhaps 12 words total, which she counted without meaning to. She noticed the gray dog that followed him, the broken gate latch he fixed himself, and the Wordsworth left open in the library. Small things, she told herself they were small things. On the 3rd evening, he asked whether the library was satisfactory. On the 3rd afternoon, she ran in from the rain and found him at the side door doing the same. They paused in the narrow doorway. He stepped back to let her through first. She passed close enough to catch the cold off his sleeve. A delivery boy from the village stared at her too long and then fled the question in her face. That evening, she found Mrs. Beale in the larder and asked her directly.
Was he responsible for her death?
Mrs. Beale looked at her with the eyes of a woman who had carried something heavy and alone for 3 years. He found her. she said finally. That is all I will say. He found her, and it was too late. The rest you will have to learn from him when he is ready. Marian stood in the cold larder for a long moment. Then she went back to the library and did not read a single line. On the fourth night she could not sleep. A lamp was burning in the study. She had told herself she would not seek him out, but the lamp was burning and she was awake. There was something she had been carrying since the carriage ride that had not found anywhere to set itself down. She knocked. The silence was longer than the first time. Then, "Come in." He sat by the fire with his coat off, a glass untouched beside him, like a man who had been sitting there for some time without finding what he was looking for.
I couldn't sleep.
Nor could I.
She took the other chair and sat close enough to the fire that its warmth began to reach her. For a while neither spoke. The silence was not frightening.
What was her name?
Eleanor,
I'm sorry.
you didn't know her.
I know. I'm sorry anyway.
He looked at her then, not cataloging, something slower.
Why did you come in here?
I told you. I couldn't sleep.
That isn't all of it.
She considered lying. She had always been better at honesty.
I wanted to see whether you were all right.
He turned back to the fire. She watched his jaw set and release.
No one has asked me that in a very long time.
He did not weep loudly. It was only a single exhale that broke somewhere in the middle. She did not move toward him. She did not look away. She sat in the cold chair and let it happen because there was nothing else right to do. He composed himself quickly. She noticed he was accustomed to it.
Eleanor was unhappy from the beginning. I knew it and I didn't know how to change it. I told myself time would, that the house would become familiar, that she would find something worth staying for. She didn't. I found her in the garden one morning in February. The physician recorded it as her heart. That is what the record says.
Marian kept very still.
The servants left because they understood something was wrong. They couldn't name it, but they knew. I let them go, and the stories, I didn't correct them. I thought it easier.
Easier for whom?
For everyone.
Not for you.
No, not for me.
She thought about Agnes, asleep somewhere in the city, unaware of this room and this man finally honest in the firelight. She thought about what a promise costs and what it sometimes returns to you.
I am not Eleanor.
I know.
I don't intend to be unhappy here. I'm not saying it to comfort you. I'm saying it because it's true. I made a decision and I mean to live in it properly.
Something in his posture changed, the way a house settles after years of tension in the beams.
You're a very practical woman, Mrs. Holt.
I prefer Marian.
A pause.
Marian,
It was the first time he had said her name. They talked until the fire burned low, about the oaks on the drive and Agnes growing exactly 1 carrot. Something moved at the corner of his mouth, not quite a smile. Close enough. When she rose to leave, he walked her to the door of the study.
I should say this arrangement. I expect nothing from you that you haven't offered freely. You have your rooms, your freedom in the house. I'm not asking you to.
Silas.
He stopped.
I came in here tonight because I chose to. That should tell you something about what I'm asking for.
He looked at her like a man who had been in the dark long enough to find the light disorienting. She walked back to the east wing alone, through a house beginning slowly to become something different. Mrs. Beale set a cup of tea on the kitchen table the next morning without being asked. She took it as a form of approval. She heard his step in the hall and recognized it already.
Good morning. Marian?
Good morning.
2 words and a name, nothing, from the outside. Some arrangements begin as transactions. Given time and honesty, and 2 people willing to sit beside each other in the cold, they become something else, something worth staying for. There is a question I keep coming back to, thinking about this story. Has someone ever asked you whether you were all right at exactly the right moment? Leave it in the comments. That kind of thing stays with people. It stays with me too.